Okay, so defenders. Right, I'm going to jump right in with Muñoz from Palace. And what I will say is, I think if he was 4.5 million, he'd be essential. But I think the games, obviously, they've copped on to the fact that he's playing at wing back. And watching him in pre season, he's just so far forward, practically playing at right wing. What I'll say about the fixtures is they're not bad, but there's not many of them where I'm saying, Palace are nailed on for a clean sheet there. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Munoz got an attacking return in any of these fixtures because he's playing that far forward. Um, so, not someone who I've got in my team currently, but definitely not someone who I'd talk someone out of putting in their team. I think if you've got him, you hang on to him and play him through these first six fixtures or so and see how he does. Next, I'm going to go and look at the two Arsenal boys, Gabriel and Saliba. On a separate note, I do think Gabriel and Saliba is the best centre back partnership in world football right now as a pair. The way they complement each other, I just think they're brilliant. The athleticism of both of them. They're both 6'3", 6'4", but they both got speed as well. Both good on the ball, especially Saliba. Yeah. Anyway, out of the two, I would go for Gabriel still. I know there's been a lot of talk with Calafiori coming in that Gabriel could get rotated a bit, but one, I think Calafiori will play predominantly left back, and two, I don't think Arteta is going to want to start Saliba in every single game this season like he did last season. I do think there'll be some games where Timber will play in the right centre back role just to give Saliba a little rest. So I think the rotation could be pretty equal. And obviously Gabriel has much more of an attacking threat, even though Saliba's a little bit bigger. Gabriel's just much more explosive in the box, and you can just see it in the data. For XG, 4.48 XG. That assist as well that he got against Palace was later ruled to be Gabriel's goal. So it's actually 4 goals he got last season. And Saliba is significantly lower. So yeah, 1.7 XG. The way that Arsenal set up from set pieces, last season anyway, Saliba kind of stands in and around the 6 yard box. And if it comes in there and the keeper doesn't come for it, Saliba comes for it. And Gabriel is kind of much more attacking the ball from deep. He'll actually get a running start at it, and that's why I think he gets more goals. Anyway, Gabriel is definitely more attacking, or has more attacking threat than Saliba, so I'd be choosing Gabriel. Um, Pedro Porro. Now, he scored a few bangers in pre-season, and he is good, very good going forward. But I just don't really trust the Spurs defence, and obviously the new bonus point system means that you're less likely to get bonus points if you score but you also concede as a defender. So that's just what puts me off Porro a little bit, and I just don't think you can rely on him getting a shot from outside the box that goes in the top corner most games. He, like I said, he's good. I wouldn't blame someone for having him in the team, but it's just not for me. The defense is good enough and the fixtures aren't brilliant. Even though Leicester's a good fixture, I'd expect Leicester to score against Tottenham at home as well. First game of the season, they've got some good tricky wingers, and then yeah, it's just I don't see any guaranteed clean sheets. Who knows? Maybe Everton in game week 2. Not a bad pick, but he's not going in my team for 5.5. Um, wouldn't be looking at any of the United defenders. I know Dallow's on here, but I'd be waiting on that. Wait and see. Wait and see when De Ligt comes in, how they play. Who's playing at left back? Is it Mazraoui? Does Dallo move over to left back and Mazraoui play right back? Um, Southampton, Fulham are decent fixtures, but I think they're a wait and see. Dallow's brilliant for bonus points though. So if you are going for a United defender, I would go for him. You can also drop down to Martinez, who's 4.5, but he's just got very little attacking threat is the only problem. So I do think it makes sense that Dallo is at 5 and Martinez is at 4.5. Who else do we have? So you've got Palace. Um, I'd go, even though it's zero point 0.5 more, I'd go Munoz over Anderson. Guehi could be an option as well. Looks like he's moving to Newcastle. And he'd be nailed on to start because Botman and Lascelles both have very bad long-term knee injuries. So it would be Guehi and Cher by the looks of it, which I think would be a decent centre-back pairing. So this wouldn't actually be the fixtures if you went to Newcastle. The fixtures would be... Get Isak's. He wouldn't play game week 1 because it's even if he gets the transfer done tomorrow, I think it's too late. Some decent fixtures. He'd be a good player that you can rotate on your bench. His attacking threat is low though, Guehi, so I wouldn't say he's a must-have. Even someone who I think would be better is Mykolenko for Everton. First few fixtures aren't great. If you can get him for these from game week 5 onto around game week 12, I think that's a great fixture run. Not just because of the colour coding, but it is genuinely very good fixtures. And it's better to go for him than for someone like a Branthwaite or a Tarkowski, who are 0.5 million more, and you could argue less attacking. They have more set piece threat, but if Mykolenko can get forward, putting crosses into Calvert-Lewin, he could get the odd assist here and there. So I'd probably go for Mykolenko as my joint favourite 4.5 with Murillo. Now, I discussed in my other video about Sells and why I'd have him. I think not just because these are good fixtures, but also these defences aren't great from set pieces. And I think Murillo, he hasn't scored yet for Forest. I think he's got a feeling that he's due a goal. He's due a goal in these first, 10 fixtures. And Bournemouth, Southampton, Brighton, Fulham usually aren't great from set pieces. Wolves as well. They've lost Kilman, who's there, was a big presence for them in the box. Be interesting to see if they hold up from set pieces as well. So I'm looking at him too, and I'd say Murillo is probably nailed on to start in my team. As for any other defenders, Robinson, I'm not as sure about, just because Sessegnon is back at Fulham, and even though I think Robinson's first choice, there could be rotation there. Also, I don't trust the Fulham defence that much. But early doors, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you got some attacking returns. So it could be worth the punt if it's just early on. Who else? Trent, I think I'm just going to straight up say this, he's essential. I think you have to have him. With the fixtures Liverpool have, how attacking Alexander-Arnold is, the pedigree, like the set pieces as well, I think you have to have him. Even though he's the most expensive in the game, I think he's worth it. And 7 million is the cheapest he's been in a while as well. And Liverpool have had good pre-season. Let's see if it translates. Obviously, they haven't signed anyone yet, which isn't a great sign. But I think to start the season, you want to go with Trent, because it's a problem if you don't have him and you need to get up to him as well because he's that expensive. Whereas if he doesn't start great, you can always go down to someone else. Gvardiol. Now, if Gvardiol plays the left-back role that he did last season, then for sure he's going to be a great option. People are saying in the Community Shield that he wasn't playing that kind of role. He was sitting back more. That might just be because of the game state. It was Man United. They didn't want to commit too many men forward. And the centre-backs, it was their first game of pre-season, so he might have stayed back a bit more. I wouldn't say that's a massive indicator that he's not going to be getting forward anymore. So I'd start with Gvardiol. And I think he's nailed for the first few games as well, because all those other defenders are only just coming back, and they haven't had any pre-season, whereas Gvardiol's had a full pre-season under his belt. So I'm starting with Gvardiol. I think it's going to be interesting with Newcastle to see what happens with Trippier and Livramento, because Trippier is 34 now, I think, and Livramento is kind of coming through. Talks of Trippier leaving. I think he'll stay for one more season, but I do think we'll start to see some rotation as they try and blood Livramento as the kind of next right back for their kind of younger back four. Their current defensive state, Newcastle, is they've got a kind of back four of 30-year-olds and then a back four of early mid-20-year-olds, assuming they sign Guehi. So I think they're just kind of trying to slowly transition to the younger ones, and I think this will be the year where we start to see Trippier and Livramento have kind of a little bit more split minutes. So let's see what happens on that front. Barco. So a lot of people have Barco as their 4 million defender because Estepinian is injured. So now, they think obviously Barco's the deputy in that position. So he'll come through, and he's been taking set pieces in pre-season. However, he's only played, you know, I think he's only played less than 180 minutes of football in pre-season. And Brighton have been rumoured quite heavily with signing this Kadioglu guy from Fenerbahce. So, the window's open for another few weeks. People are saying, oh, you could get attacking returns and his price could go up. But if you're 4 million and you're 20% owned, and they sign Kadioglu and he stops starting, his price is actually going to drop quite quickly from 4.0 to 3.9, 3.8. So I might actually move off of him. We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens with the rumours in the transfer window. But if I moved off of him and I wanted to move directly to another 4.0, I'd just go with Charlie Taylor from Southampton. He's a friendly face at this point to FPL players, and he's got a little bit of attacking threat. He'll start, and he's got good fixtures early on. So that's who I'd go make the sideways move to. Yeah, that's pretty much it for defenders for now. I'll release my draft team soon just to show you guys what I'm thinking, and I'll do it on FPL.team so you can see the different moves that I'm going to make. FYI, I am actually going to try and not make any transfers for the first 4 game weeks. I don't think it's a good idea to book in transfers with this new rule of having 5 free transfers. So I'm targeting 0 transfers for the first 5 weeks so that I can bank those 5 free transfers and go from there. But we'll see how that goes.